Hello, Princess, from US 27 North. I am heading back to Orlando after visiting Grandma for a few days and to get some things for our next big adventure, which I'll tell you about soon. Maybe tomorrow-ish. I don't know how or what order you watch these in, but anyway, we'll get to that. All right. Well, I talked to you about this already, but I didn't like how it came out, so I think we'll just do it again. Hopefully this time will be a little bit better, and that is my Bolt EV. Yes, first of all, I love this car, so what I'm going to talk about today are such trivial things that I'm just going to put these in the post-it notes of incredible first world problems. But today, I do want to talk about the few gripes that I have with this car, but not to worry, because very shortly, I will tell you about all the things I love about my Bolt EV. So, got well, not really a long drive. Oh, and by the way, today's another little experiment. I'm taking the short route, but with the fewest stops, signs and everything. So, that means the scenic route, but instead of going through Kissimmee on 192 or the side streets, I'm going to hop on the turnpike and 417 for the last little bit, pay the $3-4 in tolls just to avoid stopping. I did that once before. It's so much nicer. So, and I'm also driving with the air conditioner set at a comfortable temperature, 74, 75, just to see how much power it uses, and just to, I want to know how much it uses per hour. See, that's what I'm really looking forward to. And I can tell you right now that we've used 7%. 7% has been for climate, and we've used 13.1 kilowatt hours. So when the timer hits an hour, I'm going to make a note of that so I know how many kilowatts per hour the air conditioner uses, because I've been wondering that since I got her. Anyway, okay, so, well, let me drive a little bit more, and then I will talk to you about the incredibly trivial gripes about my Bolt EV. Here we are, 27, in, I guess, moderate traffic, although we're still proceeding at a decent pace. I'm also just pacing traffic. I really think I'm like 51% that I'll have to stop in Okeechobee for 5 or 10 minutes just to get a few extra electrons to make it comfortably, but that's fine. They're fast chargers, and it's like wide open, and it's not a bad place, and it's almost exactly halfway between Miami and Celebration. Anyway, the day is beautiful, so it's going to be a very, very nice drive. It looks like they're finally done with the construction, at least northbound on 27. There's only one little section of barrels, like not even a quarter mile, and it looks like they were done. Maybe they just forgot to pick them up or something. Anyway, finally, it's been long enough. I mean, it's just a flat, straight road. I don't understand why it's taken so long to pave it. Anyway, all right, first, let's just talk about the car itself. It's just the physical unit that is the car. And I had to think a lot about something bad because it suits her mission perfectly fine. I totally get it. She is a great, small, electric runabout. I do not expect her to go on cross-country trips, although it's possible. I don't expect her to pull the boat. I don't expect her to do any of the things that I would use Omni for, because that's why I still have him, all right? But for what I use her for, she's been great. So I really had to look around and try and, come up with a few things that just really were a bit annoying. And there is one thing that is super annoying, and it's not really the car. It's actually Chevrolet, because I think this is something that's common to a lot of Chevys, and that is this, the key fob. It is huge. It is ginormous. It's also kind of heavy, and it's a weird shape. It doesn't fit into like pockets very well. Like you can always see it. It's very noticeable, especially for the gentleman, since we don't have purses or handbags or anything like that to put this in. Yeah, this thing is kind of annoying, and there's really no reason for it, especially now. Teslas, they use the app or the card, which is awesome. I would probably just use the card, even though they want you to use the app. But yeah, the key fob is like the number one physical gripe I have about the car, believe it or not. So, I don't. Oh, and there's no alternatives. I've checked, and that's it. You're just stuck with what Chevy offers. So anyway, I've just learned to deal with it. Anyway, another thing, it seems the USB ports, they turn off when you turn off the car. I think they stay powered up for a little bit, but eventually they will power down. This has just been a bit annoying because I can't like leave the battery pack in here to charge while I'm away, or it'll charge for a little bit. I don't know how long, but then it stops. So I know it's just kind of annoying. I get it. They don't want you to leave something plugged in and maybe have it explode, but it is kind of annoying. I got something for the 12-volt plug, see if that's any different, but the two here in the center console, yeah, they power off eventually. So another thing, and this is kind of the vehicle controls. It's not really infotainment, and I really think there should be an option to like require user input to activate heat, and the other way around, depending on where you live. Because this is Florida, there is never ever a reason to use the heat. Okay, maybe once every 5 years it would be nice, but even then, come on. Especially in this car, since it is resistive heating, it takes a lot of energy, and there's been mornings when the temperature is below what I have the AC set for whatever reason. And even if it's like 70 degrees outside and I have the AC set at 76, well, guess what? It'll turn the heat on. No, we don't ever want that. So that's just a little bit annoying. I noticed it immediately because there's warm air blowing out of the vents. But anyway, that's kind of, no, we don't need that. And speaking of the air conditioner, it does feel a bit slow to get started. I don't know, maybe I'm just basing it on like ICE cars, where, you know, as soon as you crank the engine, the compressor kicks in and whatever. This might take some startup time, I get it, but it's weird. It just feels like it takes a long time. Once it gets going, it's great, but it seems to like it has to get up and stretch and get moving before it really starts blowing the cold, whatever. And finally, again, not the car, but just what Chevy decided to do, and that's the EVSE that comes with the car. It's the non-modular version with the Bolt EV, meaning it's just the regular 120 out. It's the regular 120 plug. Now the Bolt EUV, the slightly larger one, comes with the modular one, so you can plug it into a 120 or 240 volt outlet and get the extra charge if you have that. This is kind of silly. The part differential is nominal, so it's just they decided to do this for reasons that are a little bit so I don't know. It's again. Oh, and by the way, it has been demonstrated that the EVSE that comes with the Bolt normally, even the one which is hardwired to 120, actually can take 240 volts. There's a video somewhere on YouTube that describes how to do that. So internally, it's rigged. It's just not a modular plug. So that's kind of annoying, and it's annoying for me because that's the only thing I have. I never had a charge station installed at the house, so I just leave this plugged in. It's weather protected and everything, so it just sits by the pool pump, and it's ready to go. I don't drive enough to like have for it to be an issue, so I'll go home and it'll be like a few days before I go anywhere further than a couple miles from the house when I'm in Miami. So for me, it hasn't been a big deal. I just haven't bothered to have anything else installed. All right, and up in Orlando, there's so many free chargers that it's not really a big deal. And in Celebration, they have a whole suite of chargers where I never see anybody, so charging there is never an issue. Although I still would prefer to go to SeaWorld because it's included with your pass, let's put it that way. All right. Yeah, that's the car. I know, super trivial things. I wish I had more bad things to say, but I don't really, and I had to really think hard to come up with those. All right, well, approaching turn number 1, and what's going on here? Oh, okay, weird. Okay, all right, well, I'm just gonna keep driving. Got a few hours left, and then, well, some fun in Orlando and packing and everything, but it's gonna be great. We've hit our first real slowdown of the trip. 2 trucks going noticeably under the speed limit, which is fine, no problem. I mean, I just looked and the average speed has been, well, with traffic up to here, so it's all good. I mean, I'm not in any rush anyway, other than I will be quite hungry when I get there because I only had a little bit of breakfast and I do have like late lunch plans, but either way, there's going to be a turn coming up, so we'll see what happens. Heading out of Pahokee now, been underway for almost 2 hours, so making good time. And now it's time to talk about the source of the most gripes, which is nothing really to do with the Bolt. I will say a lot of cars have these annoyances in the infotainment system. And more than anything else, all of this is inexcusable. It's just software. It's just bad decisions and bad design that causes frustrations, I guess. So let's get started. And number one, the battery percentage, state of charge, is not shown anywhere by default in any of the energy screens, in the dash, nowhere. The only place where you can see that is in the app, or you can see it in the dash display if you have the phone connected, but why don't they just show it everywhere else? It's annoying because all we see are bar graphs, which aren't very precise, and sometimes I'd like to know, really, what the state of charge is, or just to see how it's changing. It's just a number. I don't know why this is so difficult. Again, just bad design or laziness, I guess, because it's one place and not the other, so that's just a bad software. Yeah. Also, the the instantaneous kilowatts per hour used is not displayed anywhere. Only the average. Now, this again, there's no excuse for this because a lot of ICE cars, show the instantaneous MPG somewhere. So why don't we see the instantaneous kilowatt per hour used? Okay, because there's a little graph that shows it, a graph that is very hard to read though. So it's like, yeah, we know what it is, but we're gonna make it as difficult as possible for you to see. In fact, the graph is so bad, it's, I don't want to say dangerous, but you have to like really look at it in a certain way, which means it's distracting. And yeah, it's just show the number right here in the center console along with the average. I mean, how hard is that? It's not very hard at all. Also, this is just an annoyance, probably on other cars. The backup camera lines don't always show. I've noticed that occasionally, and there was that time that it just came on randomly. So that's probably a piece of software that's common in a lot of cars, not necessarily just the Bolt. That's just kind of annoying. And the average, now back to the kilowatt per hours, the average, it always starts with a number even after you reset it. Why doesn't it start at 0? Is that the lifetime average? Is that the previous average? It's very weird. It should start at 0 because I have no idea what that number is and how it affects the average going forward. So maybe just a value is not cleared when it should be. Come on guys, stop being lazy. And also, it's not easy to get the kilowatt hours per trip, right? So the trip computer, when you reset it, it should show you the total kilowatt hours that you used in that trip. The only way to get that right now is to charge to a certain level, let it reset in the energy screen, and then keep track of it or look at it when you're done. I mean, the car counts all this stuff. It knows the data. Why isn't it shown? I don't really, because again, in ICE cars, they have that gallons per use. I've seen that before. So not having these in an EV that we expect to be a little bit more sophisticated, it's kind of mysterious. So come on, Chevrolet. I know you've been terrible, meaning it hasn't happened, in updating the software, but I mean, really, there's no excuse for this. There's no excuse for any of this. It's just the PMs are bad at their job, or the developers are just lazy, or they don't care. Either way, just fix it, please. Heading over the Port Mayaca Bridge, over to the right is a lock entering Lake Okeechobee, one that I have been through twice. Someday I'll tell you about our ill-fated attempt to cross the state via the waterway here. This is part of the, I don't know. I will have to look it up if this is part of the ICW. But either way, there is a waterway that goes from Stewart over to Fort Myers. And, well, we tried to do it a few years back, and due to a bridge collapse, unfortunately, it was under construction, so nobody got hurt or anything. We had to turn around and head back. But, well, we just passed it, and we are going to be hitting Okeechobee next. I'm going to stop probably to do some math because of speed, air conditioning. I'm using more energy, and that's fine. So I'm going to probably stop and charge for a few minutes, but I do want to run some numbers first because one number says I have enough, and the other is, well, it's just, it disagrees. So, not by much, though. Anyway, well, let's go. I want to keep driving. Keep driving. Lake Okeechobee is just off to the left, and Okeechobee, the city, is coming up in a little bit, which means, terrible segue, that it is time to talk about the last set of things that I gripe about sometimes with the Bolt EV, and that is the app features. Again, not really specific to the car. It's a Chevrolet thing, although these features are specific to the Bolt, so yeah, it counts. Well, number one is the app doesn't always show the date of the full charge. Before the update, it never showed the date, so it would just say, charged up by, 6:30. Well, okay, is that today, tomorrow, the next day? And it was an issue when I would get home and plug in with the little charger, because I wouldn't really know. And it's not a long way, so it was like 2 days away, but you couldn't really tell. Now, the car showed the day on the dash, but the app never did. Now, it does sometimes. I think it only shows the time if it's the same day, but if it's the next day or later, it will show the day of the week. So it's an improvement, but why not just show the day all the time? Because after the previous experience, I'm still wondering, what it's showing me. So, yeah, that's just a little bit of inconsistency, bad UI design, whatever. Another thing that I found a bit annoying is you cannot change the target charge level in the app. You can change the times for departure charging, and I think, you can even change it from immediate to departure, but you can't change the target charge level. This has been a very inconvenient thing for me on a couple of occasions, because I've been at SeaWorld charging, and I realized I forgot to up it because I'm leaving the next day, or maybe I was going to go to Busch Gardens and I was leaving. And, to go and change it from 80 to 100, I gotta leave the park and go walk all the way through the parking lot because they're all the way at the end, change it and go back. That was kind of inconvenient. Or if I'm plugged in Celebration, I gotta get on the scooter, ride over to the charging station, turn her on, change it and go back. That happened once. No, that happened twice. Once before the town center chargers, and I was using one way in another section of Celebration, and then at town center, and I was going to Busch Gardens the next day, and I wanted to leave with, I think I only sent it to 90, but I still had to go through this whole process to do that. So super annoying. You should be able to change it in the app, because, well, if you can change the departure times, why not change the target charge level? I mean, that's just a weird, I cannot think of a reason why they would not do that. Oh, and yes, you can change the amperage of the EVSE from the app. So why would you be able to do that and not change the target charge level? So yes, please make it much more convenient, right? For those times I forget and the car is parked way far away. Yeah, it's just annoying. And finally, they finally fixed something. So I will use this opportunity to give them a little bit of credit. The app used to activate on both screens when activated in the car when it's connected, which never made any sense to me. It would activate the phone screen and the car screen. Now it just activates the car screen. So at least they got that right. So somebody was paying attention and decided to get rid of some nonsense. Anyway, well, believe it or not, those are my hard thought gripes about my Bolt EV. Really nothing substantial. Some of them are quite trivial and are just nuisances. Otherwise, I love the car, and all of these things, except for the key fob, it's still huge and annoying because, you know, I wear nice clothes, and having this giant key fob showing, that's just, ugh. That above everything else is my biggest gripe, believe it or not. So, yeah, Chevy, come on, give us a card. That's all we need to do. That's all you need to do. Or just let us open the car from the app. I mean, come on. All right. Well, my next stop will be probably the charging station to see if I need some. And it's looking like I should. Don't have to, but I should, because I don't want to arrive in Celebration with too low, because sometime this afternoon I will have to head over to probably SeaWorld to plug in and recharge, because a couple days I will have to do a not long mission, but does qualify as an extended mission. Okay, well, I'll be back to say goodbye in a little bit. There's a number of these communities along the lake, and you can see off in the distance on the left is the levee. I think these houses have lake access through a lock that's up ahead. And there's boats, so they gotta take them somewhere. Would it be an interesting place to stay for a little bit? There's a couple of RV resorts that would be kind of cool to try out in the future. But this is, I don't know, lakefront property in the middle of nowhere. That sounds pretty awesome. It sounds pretty awesome. Sometimes. A lot of times. No, it's just awesome. I'll bet Chevy wishes I didn't stop to charge when making this video, because this reminds me of another gripe, and that's the Bolt EV's charging limit is only around 50 kilowatts. It's been enough for me, but it is lower than a lot of the competitors, and I think it's just because the original Bolt was at this level when it was kind of normal. I mean, there's a lot of 50 kilowatt chargers out there, and only recently have things begun to step up, but they did not keep up. And even the 2020 should be a little bit higher. The 2021s should be a lot higher, and they're not. So yeah, just gonna throw this in there that I wish the charge rate could be a little bit faster. So now it's time for me to do some quick calculations. Based on my estimation, I could make it, but I would arrive with less than I prefer. So I will stay here for maybe 10 minutes just to top off. It's actually been a nice, comfortable drive with the air conditioner and everything. I'm also seeing how much that uses, about 1 kilowatt per hour, which is not too bad. So the reason I'm stopping is because driving with traffic is a lot faster than I would normally drive, and that is the biggest differentiator in battery usage, is how fast you drive. So I will do this again with the AC at a comfortable temperature, but just at a leisurely pace, either at or a little bit below the speed limit, and probably we'll make it with no issues. But 10-minute stop, not a big deal. It's worth it actually for the comfort, so I'm not really going to complain about that. And since I still don't have to pay Joe Biden gas prices, I really am thankful for my problems.